dog. I got a dog. Hello, hello. Move my tripod. Sorry, guys. Hello. I can't get sorry. I'm trying to get that right so it doesn't glare in my glasses. So, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. See if anybody's gonna hop on tonight. Anybody? Of course. There's something on my glasses. Always something on my glasses. Always. Never fails. Never fails. Hello, hello. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Ugh, sorry guys. There's always something on my glasses when I get on. They'll be fine all day. And then when I go to get online, there's something wrong with them. They bug the shit out of me. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. I don't know if it's my eye or my glasses. It's bugging the crap out of me. No, there's something there. That's why. It's like an eyelash or something. I just keep putting animal hairs on there. I'll stop screwing with my glasses eventually. Hey, Marie. Tarpon Springs, Florida. Welcome. And is it Kenneth? Welcome. Thank you for the badge. Evening, Marie. How are you? Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. And the likes. How is everybody tonight? I don't know if I even need my glasses. I'm going to try without them because they're bugging the crap out of me tonight. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. You're welcome. I'm going to move my tripod, so I'm going to wiggle it for a second. Sorry, guys. I'm in a new place, and so trying to figure out what I want to do here. Yeah, I feel like I have an echo too. Do I echo? I'm in my brother's basement, so it's where I'm staying at the moment. So, yeah, if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. West Virginia, Texas. Do you have a name? Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hey, Marie, I got a new do. Did you see that? What do you think? Oh, it was so bad. Neela from Indiana. Did I say that right? Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. Thank you for the likes, Marie. Oh, I've had one haircut since Daryl passed, and it was looking so bad. My sister used to be a cosmetologist, my sister-in-law, and so the other day I was like, would you please trim my hair? It's awful. So I didn't know I was gonna go up this short, but it really needed it though. I think it looks healthier, so we'll see. I feel like I'm missing all my hair, but anyway. Hey, James, how are you? Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. Marie. So I get to share my journey with you guys tonight. I know I always share, but tonight's going to be, I'm not sure how it's going to go. I think if you're not new here, if you've been here before, you know kind of where my journey has been and why I'm here. If you don't know, I'm in Iowa. My guide's okay, we don't talk like that on my channel. If you would like to get blocked, you sure may. Holy cow. Wow. Do you guys see all the orbs? What is happening? Did you guys see all those orbs? Something's going on. That's weird. I'm sorry. I'm so distracted tonight. Squirrel. It's so weird because I'm doing it at 8 o'clock here because I was doing it at 6:30, but that's even later here. So I don't know how this is going to work, but holy crap. You guys see all that? Wow. Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm squirreling a lot tonight. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Easy now, white chocolate. Okay. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee, and I'm at the moment from Iowa again. Sorry guys, I just hit the tripod. I'm just a mess tonight. I'm gonna be even more mess. I'm supposed to share some other things. Hold on. It's going really crazy now. Heaven something from Tennessee. Do you have a name? Welcome. Baby Blue Eyes from, is it supposed to be Long Island, New York? Welcome. Kristen, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. And that person's going to get blocked because I normally give 3 warnings, guys, but you know, you get one troll, you get a whole bunch. Cleveland, Ohio, welcome. Glad to have you here. I'm just going to get started. It looks like I'm only 2 minutes running late here on getting started. So if you're new here, tell us who you are, where you're from. My name is Renee, if you missed it. At the moment, naked bedtime stories. Well, do I look naked? No, so obviously not. Tonight we're going to talk about something a little more serious. Probably not what anybody wants to hear. Jason from North Carolina, welcome. Thankful Man, hi there. Do you have a name and where you're from, Thankful Man? Kristen, thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. So if you're not familiar with my story, like I said, my name is Renee. Welcome. I started my TikTok in March of 2024 because in September of 2023, for TikTok purposes, my husband unalived himself. And that's when I discovered that I had abilities to talk to my spirit guides. And they slowly breadcrumb me to my purpose, which is to be here and to help others through their loss and their traumas. And so tonight is kind of a more serious topic. If you're new here, you're not really familiar with my story. My husband and I were together for 32 years, never apart more than 2 weeks in those 32 years. And so when he left this world, my entire world of 32 years crumbled. So sorry, my girl in the bedside beside me. What? Not quite sure. Is it just my eyes tonight? I don't have my glasses on. Oh, gotcha. Okay. So anyway, so we were never apart more than 2 weeks in that 32 years. And so when he left, like I said, my entire world of 32 years imploded. OD'd. Gotcha. Now I understand. Okay. I have to be careful what I say. So I did read it. I can't read certain things out loud. Otherwise they'll kick me off. And I'm so sorry to hear that. That's terrible. It's hard, isn't it? And so when that first happened, everybody kept telling me, you know, Renee, just put one foot in front of the other. And I literally didn't know how to do that, right? I could barely breathe. And so after I decided I was going to stay on this planet because I wasn't sure that I was going to, and what prompted that was I had a light bulb moment. My youngest daughter said to me, she said, Mom, you do realize that your life is worth living, right? And that was my light bulb moment. And so my husband didn't leave me in a great spot financially. And so therapy was out, and I'm the circle that doesn't fit in the square. And so, and the unique girl. And so I knew that group therapy probably wasn't going to work for me either. But if I was going to stay on this planet, I had to figure out a way to heal myself. And so I deep dived into meditation and journaling. And the first message I ever got. Hey, Douglas, how are you? Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that and all the likes. And so the first message I ever got in meditation was, what heals you will heal others. And that was the first puzzle piece, you could say, or the first breadcrumb to my guides leading me to my purpose. And then if you're not familiar with my story, that December, so December of 23, my guide said, you're going to get online and you're going to start telling people your story. And you're going to take all of your accounts public. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And so I dragged my feet for about a month. And at Christmas time, I said to my granddaughter, I said, can you help Grandma? Because I don't even know how to make a reel. So I'm technologically challenged. And so my granddaughter showed me how to make a reel, but I still dragged my feet for about a month. And then in January, I started putting out reels across my platforms, which was basically at the time just Instagram and Facebook. And then in February, my guide said, okay, now you're going to get on TikTok. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to be on TikTok. And so there again, I dragged my feet for weeks, probably about another month. And then in March of 2024, my daughter had her son and all of my grandkids were at my house. And I said, Grandma needs to get on TikTok. Do y'all want to help Grandma figure out how to do this TikTok thing? And so then they all helped me figure out my TikTok. And then in July of that year, my guide said, okay, now you're going to start doing lives on TikTok. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. But I did because, like I said, they told me to do this and I did it. And they told me to do this and I did it. And so I knew that they were slowly giving me the steps to my future because I've had visions of my future. I know what's coming a little bit. They don't tell you everything. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. Welcome. Tonight, I'm just talking a little bit more about my story because I have some new stuff to share. So just giving those of you that are new here a little background. And so I started doing TikTok in July, lives on TikTok of July of 2024. And then my guide said, you're going to continue to do that. Hey, Richard, how are you? Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that and all the likes. And so like I said, I started doing my lives and sharing more of my story. And and brings us to a couple months ago, probably about October. I was led to go to California. Long story, I went there to be with someone. And it was kind of one of those things we agreed after that we were just going to be friends. And I'm not quite sure where we're at right now. I think we're not friends. We're still friends, but we kind of agreed we're going to try this again. You lost your wife in July of 2024. Well, guess what? You're in the best spot you can be because this is why this community was started. Triple G, do you have a name and where you're from? We talk about loss here and grief and all kinds of things here. But mostly I just want people to know that they're not alone. And so that's what my page is all about, is that you're never alone. My community is always here. My page is your page, just so you know that. Richard, thank you for the likes. And so long story short, fast forward to here about a month ago. Aw, thank you for the heart. I appreciate it. I didn't quite catch your name. What was your name? True Country Strong. Oh, okay. Hi, how are you? I'm doing well, actually. New York, Queens. Okay. All right. My mom has family around there. So like I said, fast forward to probably about a month ago, a little over a month ago. Just got home from work. All right, well, awesome. I have some updates about my life that my guides want me to share. If you're new here, I'm the resident guinea pig. We talk about my life and how it applies and so how I can help other people. And where I've came on my journey since my husband unalived himself a little over 2 years ago. And so, like I said, about a month ago, I needed to leave California. Nice to know someone out there. I'm in Michigan and 16 years of being a widow. Oh, let me put my glasses on, guys. I thought I could read. They're just dirty and I can't get them clean. Maureen, well, welcome. Welcome to this community. This is what we're for. I made this community to help people with their loss and just, so people know they're not alone. If I could talk tonight, would be great. And so I learned that I needed to leave California. I was not on my friend's lease and I needed to leave there. And technically, once I left there, I was homeless, you could say, in a way. And so Harley, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. And so I called my mom and I said, Mom, I'm coming home. Cause one, I had nowhere else to go. I could not go back to South Dakota because my kids didn't either have room for me or their children are allergic to my cats. There's another orb. I've had them like crazy since I started. And so it wasn't going to work out for me to go back to South Dakota. And so I called Mom and I said, I'm coming back to Iowa. And then my guides proceeded to inform me that lost your wife 6 years ago. Well, guess what? You're in the best place you can be. This is what we talk about. And just know, you guys, you're never interrupting me. So my page is your page. If you need to talk about it, feel free. That's what we do here. Tonight, I'm just kind of giving an update on my journey. I've been very vocal since I've been on here about, I got over the guilt of my husband unaliving himself pretty quickly. But I was struggling. With the anger, right? And so towards the end of summer, I finally, I was dealing with that. And then I think it was in November, I had a moment. If you're not familiar, I always say it's okay to have a moment. Just don't unpack and live there. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. Welcome. And so I always say it's okay to have a moment, right? And I still have moments, right? And I had a moment, and right after that moment, I went into journaling. I had not journaled to my husband in quite a while. I took that moment and I went into journaling, and for the first time since he passed, which had been a little over 2 years, I was able to finally say to him that I was no longer angry with him, right? And so, like I said, fast forward. Hey, Wayne, perfect timing, Wayne. I have an update. Just a little north of Houston, Texas. Welcome. Thanks for the badge, Wayne. I appreciate that. I want to leave Earth to be with brother and parents. I miss them. Is that normal? Yes, it is normal, but just know, Douglas, that they're always with you. It is Douglas, right? Thank you for the badges, Wayne, and the likes. I appreciate that. So I'm just giving an update. And so fast forward, like I said, to probably a little over a month ago. I'm fibbing, not quite, but thanks for the badge. I wish I was. What am I fibbing about? And so, like I said, I was told that I needed to leave my friend's place. I was not on the lease, so I had to go. So I was technically homeless, you could say. And so I called my mother and I said, Mom, I'm coming home, because I had really nowhere else to go. Now I'm in my brother's basement. Pardon my background. But my guides had informed me after I called my mother to say that I was coming home, that I needed to come back here. For those of you that aren't aware, my husband unalived himself at my mother's place in my mom's yard. And so the only thing, the part of my journey, my healing journey, that I was still struggling with was the flashbacks of that day, because I'm the one that found him. Okay. And I've really been struggling with that and trying to figure out, because I never knew when I closed my eyes when when that image was going to appear, and how to deal with that. And so my guide said, guess what? You're going to go back to Iowa. You're going to go back to, you could say, the scene of the crime. Very vindictive. Okay. I only have 2 rules here, by the way, and the one is always be kind. So if you're not being kind to me, you will get blocked eventually. Just know that. I don't like to block anybody, and we do agree to disagree here, but if you can't be kind, then I will block you. And so my guide said you're going to go back to the scene of the crime, so to speak, and you are, oh, okay, I understand. No, they're not in their right mind. They don't, there is a lot that went into what happened with him also. So if you're not familiar with our story, don't be too judgmental yet, because, a lot happened in the 2 years leading up to that. But anyway, so they said you're going to go back to Iowa, and you're going to do the healing that you need to heal to finish healing, so I can finally shut the door to my past and to be able to move forward. Okay. So now fast forward, I got to Iowa on Wednesday. I drove 2 days straight from California to get back to Iowa. I made it here safely, uneventful, which is great. Like I said, my mom doesn't have a lot of room, so right now I'm in my brother's basement. I've been in Kansas for 3 years. We came from Mason City. Okay, yep, very familiar with Mason City. Had lots of my kids there. Well, not lots, but a couple. So yes, I'm like 40 minutes from Mason, so yep. And I hate Kansas, by the way. I just drove through there and I felt like I was never getting out. I just have to say that on the side note. Sorry, I like to squirrel, guys. And so my guide said I was going to get on tonight, and I'm going to talk about the update of where I've been since I've got here. So I pulled in early Wednesday morning about 6 a.m. to my mom's. Like I said, if you're not aware, you're just hopping on. That's where my husband unalived himself. At Nyack. Okay, my cousin went there. And so I didn't want to wake my mom because she had been on steroids and had not been sleeping well, and it looked like she was asleep. And so I had decided I was just going to stay in my car for a while and until she woke up. I wasn't going to go in and wake her. And so as I sat there in the car, I can see the spot, right, where my husband unalived himself, and I was struggling already. So now fast forward to, let's see, today is Monday. I had given myself a couple days to recoup because I wasn't feeling great. I had allergy problems and then lack of sleep, and I was exhausted and all this stuff. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself a couple days to get my footing and get my rest and catch up on my rest, and then I will tackle this. So yesterday morning I get up, and I was just going to have a lazy day and watch some YouTube. I don't watch a lot of television. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee, by the way. And so yesterday I get up and I got my hair in a pony, no makeup. I'm just going to have a chill day in my brother's basement and watch some YouTube. And my guide said, no, we have other plans. And my guide said, so they told me, they're like, no, today's the day. You're going to go to your brother's house, and we're going to start this healing journey with the flashbacks. So if you're not aware of my story, so the day that my husband unalived himself, I was at my brother's a half a block away. We had been living in our camper at my mom's, so my husband could work. Long story there. You could probably go back and find a live or a video. I'll tell you where to find it later. But Carl from Point Pleasant, New Jersey, welcome. And so I was a half a block away. I could see my camper from my brother's. My brother had been building a new house, and I was trying to earn extra money and help my brother get into his house before winter. And so I was doing some drywall and painting, and that day I was painting in my brother's house. And my husband had an episode, just to kind of give you an idea of what was happening. My husband had an episode 2 days prior, had been admitted to the hospital, and had just got out the night before. And so I left him in our camper. I said, I'm going to walk to my brother's and do some painting. I'll be back a little bit later. And so at my brother's then, I had left the paint roller in the living room. And so I had went to the living room to fill my paint roller, and out the window I could see my husband. I had asked him, I said, hey, you know, could you just change the litter box today for me, if you wouldn't mind? And so I seen my husband out the window with the litter box. And so my guides yesterday said, that's where I had to start my healing journey for these flashbacks. I had to go back to my brother's house, and I had to look back out that window, and I had to face it head on. And if you're new here, I talk about all the time how you have to feel it to heal it. And so my brother was watching television, and they're kind of set up right there in front of that window. But I sat on the couch and I let him do his thing, and I did my thing, and basically just sat there. I took my notebook. If you're not familiar, I'm huge into journaling. Journaling is what got me through my healing journey. And so I sat and I remembered that day, and I remembered what I saw, and I journaled and I cried. And so after I saw my husband with the litter box, I had went back to painting that day. And so about 10 minutes later, I came back out, and I had started to get the roller full of paint again. Can you give me a kind suggestion? You sure can. And so I continued to paint. Well, as I continued to paint after I filled the roller that time, my intuition was screaming at me that something was not right. Because the last time I had filled my roller, I had looked at my camper, seen my husband, who had proceeded to take off. Without going into too much detail, my husband had taken off the dog. We had a long dog leash on our camper. And so my husband had proceeded to take that off. I watched him do that before I had went back to painting. And so as I was painting, my intuition that day was screaming at me that something was not right. And so if you're sensitive, I'm just going to tell you, viewer discretion. We are talking about sensitive content tonight. Just want to put that out there. Okay, I'll just put it behind my ear. How's that? Is that better? And so yesterday I sat and I visualized that day again, and I proceeded to journal, like I said, and cry. And after I felt like I was finished there, I proceeded to walk back towards the camper like I did that day. And I was able to basically do the healing that I needed to do. I didn't honestly think that it was going to go that quickly. I didn't think that in one day it would be like, I mean, obviously you're never going to heal completely, right? But I thought I was going to kind of tackle it in chunks. And yesterday my guys were like, yeah, no, we have other plans. And so if you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. Welcome. And so I proceeded to basically feel it to heal it. I cried until I couldn't cry anymore. And then my brother had a trailer sitting right there by where it had happened. And so I went to sit there, and it was a beautiful day here yesterday in Iowa. It was probably one of the better days I could have had for that, considering we're still in winter. And my guides, so I sat there and I kind of went into a meditation, and I saw that day again in my mind, in my third eye, and my guides proceeded then to give me another image. And they said, this is the image that you will see now. When I go back to that moment, they have given me a different image. And they told me that, whoops, I'm sorry, I just kicked it. They told me that he had been, obviously he was gone. I don't know, if you're new here, my husband was gone when I found him. Even though I did try to give him CPR, he was gone. I know that now. But I did try to give him CPR. And so they reassured me that he was gone and that he was in a good place and he was at peace. and that he was no longer in pain. My husband had had some pain from the previous 2 years of what was happening in our life, in his life. And so they reassured me that he was at peace and that he left at peace. And so they basically give me that image, and a cool breeze came over me. And I've never in my life experienced what I experienced yesterday. I sat there with my eyes closed, and from the bottom of my feet all the way through my body, I felt a peace like I've never felt in my entire life, ever. And at that moment, it was like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. Yep, the only way out is through it. You're exactly right, Wayne. Thank you for the badge. And I say that all the time, you really have to feel it to heal it, and sadly, that's why a lot of people don't heal, is because they don't want to have to walk back through that, right? They don't want to walk through what I call the storm, sadly, and you really do have to do that. And so, yeah, I had a peace come over me. And I just sat there and I thanked him for our life together, and that it was, time that I move forward. And and like I said, a weight was lifted and I felt that peace. And like I said, now when I think of that, I get that new image. It's like they replaced that image of what I saw with a new image. So yeah, so yesterday was a really good day. It was a healing day. It was very exhausting. Healing is exhausting. I'll warn you right now. But it was a really good day. And of course my guides are like, cause I'm the resident guinea pig here, right? So my guides are like, you're going to share your story. And you guys a lot of you have walked this journey with me to this point. And so, it's only fitting that you hear the last part of I guess you could say, to, like they told me, you're going to go to Iowa and you're going to feel it, you're going to heal it, and you're going to shut that door finally. I'm going to be able to finally step into my future and know that I shut that door. So thank you. I'm not sure what your name is, user, and I'm not going to read all those numbers. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. And is it Kevin? Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that also. And I don't want to mess up your name. I don't know if I can see it. Hold on. Catmondo 27. Did I say that right? Do you have a name and where you're from? Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that also. Kathy. Welcome, Kathy. They're readers. But if I have my phone that far away, most of the time I can read the chat. So they are readers. Generally, if my phone's closer, I have to have them to read the chat. Phoenix, I just went through there on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? No, Monday. Monday I went through there last week. You have to go. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Thank you for the badge too. I appreciate that so much. Harley, thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. And so, I share my story. I tell people all the time, I don't share my story for pity. I don't want anybody's pity. I'm here to share my story for people to know that, one, you're not alone, right? And things happen to everybody. And, if my hope is that if I can share my story and somebody doesn't have to go through, the pain that I went through, then it makes everything that I went through, not okay, but it makes it better, right? So, if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. So, is everybody still here that had a loss? If you've had a loss and you're struggling or you're not struggling, if you would like to just share, please pipe in and share with me, because I would really like to hear about your loss. Anybody? While I'm waiting for comments, real quick, I'm just going to share. If you're not familiar, I do have a YouTube channel also. Oh, really? Well, you have my permission to be blocked. See how that works? I just love these trolls. Like I said, hell and back in the last 2 years, and it's like these trolls get on and they're like, oh, it's okay, Kathy. I'm so used to it. I've been prepared for this for 2 years. It's not a big deal. But I've been to hell and back, and they think that they're going to get on and say something rude to me, and and they're going to rain on my parade. And there is nothing that anybody could say at this point that's going to hurt my feelings. I promise you. I mean, you can sure try, but good luck with that. So yeah, so if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. We just talked about my story. If you're not familiar, I'm here because my husband unalived himself, and basically I'm here to help other people through their loss. So, be your mom. Do you need a mom? And so, like I said, if you've had a loss, please share. You know, if you're wanting to share, I'm willing to listen. That's what my page is about. I would love to hear about your journey. And while I'm waiting for comments, like I was saying before, Mr. Rude, if you're not familiar, I also have a YouTube channel, and all my lives get uploaded over there, and I have lots of topics on grief and you name it. No, there isn't. They're just, I don't know if they're bots or people that just live in mommy's basement and have nothing better to do. Harley, I don't know. It is what it is. It really is, and you're tough when you're behind a keyboard and you don't have to face somebody, right? And what is that saying? Those, throw stones at glass houses, it is what it is. But anyway, like I said, I do have a YouTube channel. It's called Scorpio Medium. And if you're not a subscriber, I would love it if you went over there and subscribed. All of the videos that you find over here, you'll find over there. The only difference is I do go live Monday through Wednesday as of right now. And so I upload all my lives over there. So if you would like to catch a past live, I have lots of different topics over there. And I would love it if you became a subscriber. Like I just said, I am here Monday through Wednesday as of right now. I am going, as of right now, it's 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. I'm trying to make it so it's not too late for Eastern, but not too early for Pacific Standard Time people. So right now, 8 o'clock, we'll see how that works. It's kind of late for me, but we'll make it work for right now. Also, if you didn't catch, my name is Renee, and I am a medium. I'm a psychic medium, actually. And so if you are interested in getting a reading with somebody who's crossed over on the other side, I do those. I have half-an-hour sessions and hour sessions that I offer. If you're interested, you can send me an email, which is down below. If it doesn't seem like that's going through, I had some trouble with my Yahoo this week, guys. You can always send me a DM on here, but I prefer an email, and that's how you would set those up. I just started on Thursday nights. If you are struggling with loss and grief and you would like to know that you're not alone, I have started a Zoom. So you're more than welcome to ask me for the login for that on Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do have a Zoom meeting every Thursday. They only go 40 minutes. You can talk. You don't have to talk. I just set that up so people know that they're not alone. So Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time is the Zoom meeting. And also, last but not least, I do have my Venmo down below in my bio. If you enjoy my content and you would like to leave me a tip, you can do that there. Never expected, but always appreciated. So does anybody have anything they want to talk about tonight? How was everybody's day? It's a new day, new week. How's it going? How's it starting out? How did everybody's week last week end? Anybody want to talk to me tonight? If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. Welcome. How was your weekend, Wayne? Are you still there? I think you are. How did your weekend go? If you could hear things, it's just my brother and his wife upstairs and their dog. So if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Anybody want to talk to me tonight, or are they hiding comments on me? It's so hard to know. I never know when they're hiding comments. Nobody wants to talk to me tonight? Or am I just not seeing comments? TikTok likes to do that. All right, guys. Well, if nobody else has anything they want to say or want to talk to me, going once? Going twice? Okay, well, I will be back here tomorrow night, hopefully with a topic, Tuesday night. So I'll be here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I hope that you'll join me then. I hope everybody has a great night. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. Remember to make tomorrow great, because it is a